Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. FNS telling all of the NRG drama over the last couple of years, revealing how many of his former teammates do not treat him the same after they have departed the organisation which FNS is still captaining to potentially some big success going into the upcoming year. FNS says that only Ye has actually been reasonable to him, and maybe there's a bit of joking going on here, but what he's not joking about is how good Verno is in that roster at the moment. FNS making the point that Verno is one of the best players he has ever seen, one of the more consistent in scrums so far, although FNS also believes the entire team is capable of delivering great results this year. What does that mean for the guys that he used to team with? Marved, among others. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Starting with some drama today with the LAN Dodgers. Now, we know that the Africa TV League was a thing last year. That's the tournament that Sentinels won. This year, they rebranded to the Soup Valorant League, and NRG, of course, notably won the tournament this year, which, of course, has created some serious questions because last year Sentinels won the Africa TV League. They then went on to win Masters Madrid. This year, NRG have won the Soup Valorant League. Will they go on to win Masters Bangkok, the first event of the season? Well, they've got to qualify first, and that, of course, is not going to be so easy, but FNS, I'm sure, is confident, as we'll discuss in a second. But speaking of Soup, there is a tournament still going on right now, the Soup Elite Cup 2024, one of the only tournaments actually happening in the world right now, and, well, these are the results so far. We've got this team called Good Boy against S2 Esports in the grand finals, and currently Good Boy's just gone up 13-7 on the Ascent and taken the win. The Sunset is S2 Esports pick though, so yeah, this tournament's happening out there in mainly Taiwan. Now, it's a controversial tournament because of what we've just seen right about here. So this team called the LAN Dodgers, and here they are losing, well, they won 2-1, and then they got forfeited from the game. So they played a pretty unknown team. They went down 14-12 on the first map. They then won the Bind 13-11, and then on the Ascent they won it 13-10, and this guy Solo 8-8 has been involved in quite some drama as a result. So they then got forfeited and they were disqualified due to rule infringement. So okay, what's going on here? What's happening? And well, this is apparently what happened. They were disqualified from the tournament for using third-party software, i.e. cheating. I mean, there's no other way to really read that you're using some sort of device that is not allowed in the game to enable you to play better in the game itself. And, well, they asked, therefore, for proof of this, and apparently the organisers simply just didn't respond. Because the players were like, okay, well, where is your evidence we're using third-party software? Because we're not. And, you know, who knows who's correct on this issue, but it's dramatic, of course. So the players are like, hang on a second, guys, you're banning us for this, you're disqualifying us for this, and who's using this software, and why is this happening? And they effectively, apparently, didn't respond. So the player who said they used third-party software was not banned in the game. So, or the player who they say, of course. So, of course, that player's not going to admit to it, even if he was doing it. And, you know, it says that he wasn't. But it's not like the Riot Games anti-cheat banned him in the game, and therefore it's a no-brainer. Oh, my teammate got banned mid-game. Okay, he was hacking. Fair enough. But in this case, there was nothing of the sort like that. It seemed like it was all okay, but yet the organisers banned them anyway. And as a result of this, their team has not qualified to compete for the VCL Southeast Asia. So it's a big result. And, you know, obviously a big punishment. We're expecting at least an explanation. That's what the team says anyway. Something minimum that should be given without asking for it. And obviously, this guy Solo88 then is tweeting about this and seemingly revealing what they believe was enough to get them banned. So he brought up the, like, NVIDIA settings on the left-hand side, which, look, I mean, NVIDIA, like, game capture, whatever it's called, shadow play, or whatever they call it nowadays anyway. But he brings this up on the left-hand side, and I guess they had, like, they played an official game with web cameras on, and the organisers might have watched this camera and thought that he's bringing up some sort of cheating tab, and therefore it's not allowed. But there should be surely no issue bringing up NVIDIA settings during a game. I mean, like, he's not using anything to give himself an unfair competitive advantage that nobody else can do anyway. But yeah, so as he says, like, because of this, we failed to make the VCL qualification, and like we've shown the POV, they just decide to ban us anyway, and Solo88 has therefore decided he's just going to quit competitive Valorant. Because in his opinion, understandably, this is such a joke that he's just going to say, you know what, it's not even worth it anymore after not qualifying to play for this year, and if Riot and, you know, the organisation organizers are going to do it like this, and even says in the replies, imagine saying that Nvidia software is a cheat, you know, this game is a clown fiesta. Now, to be fair, the drama has continued on this because the organizers may argue, because there was obviously with shadow play and with Nvidia settings, you can mess around with things so that flashes don't appear in the same way to actually give yourself a competitive advantage. Now, of course, the players are going to say they're not doing that, but you know, there is some people arguing in the replies that, well, if he's got this locked in and these settings downloaded and using it in the game, it maybe implies some potential to use this. I think it was only possible very briefly because they patched it. But yeah, I don't know. There was talk about it anyway that maybe you can understand why the organizers felt like this was evidence of trying to find a competitive advantage, but I'm not sure that is quite so clear. But yeah, obviously in Counter-Strike it was a talking point back in the day, the Nvidia settings and the smoke grenades and all that stuff. So maybe there's something similar happening here. The reality is that these guys, whether they were doing anything dodgy or not, they've been banned effectively, been disqualified, and they're not going to be able to make it in the VCL. So some big questions on whether this has been handled appropriately, understandably, as there always seems to be. Just this quickly, this is of course the Chinese kickoff schedule, the matches that are underway from the 11th of January, it all gets back underway. These are the games in the first week, in the second week, in the third week, etc, etc. And well, this is the schedule anyway, but of course notably starting right about here with, you know, as things get initially underway, and then we see the rest of the bracket play out from there in terms of determining which two teams are going to go to Masters Bangkok. Before we talk about the FNS stuff, just a quick update on this. We saw that Chet got banned the other day from Valorant for unknown reasons, it seems. And he followed up a couple of days ago and said, anyone can help, I'm still locked out, and the player support is asking which gun buddy I first unlocked. And people are like, hang on a second, why don't you... like, surely you have some connections with Riot and everything. But this is the issue for Chet, is that he's no longer part of an organization. They can't reach out on his behalf, like NRG or anything. He is currently banned by Riot Games from competing in Valorant in any form until the end of Masters Bangkok after leaking the scrim VODs from a few months ago. So it seems like they just don't want to help. And... you know, he's trying to convince the, obviously the guys that are trying to help him unlock the account that he is the real, like, Chet, obviously, and he's won things in the VCT. But apparently the guy in question just said, nope, not enough info, and closed his ticket. So, you know, that is highly unfortunate, and hopefully he gets that resolved, because, yeah, Chet has been going through it the last few months. They also has released this, I thought was pretty cool. Him and Emil are, well, basically going to train up the next generation of Valorant pros. They've got the Elite package with monthly one-on-one coaching with limited spots. And Ye's like, damn, the Elite package, get me right in that ASAP. But speaking of Ye, I wanted to show a couple of things that FNS had to say over the last couple of days, especially on the new and old NRG lineups. Now, to be fair, lots of the things FNS says I think are a little bit tongue-in-cheek about his former teammates, but to be fair on this one, I do kind of understand if guys like Marv and others are a little bit frustrated that FNS is, you know, staying on that roster. He's still killing its potential in NRG, winning tournaments, and Marv, former teammate, is obviously now out of the league after getting his opportunity last season. So that dynamic has got to be interesting on some level. FNS also talked about how Victor and Crashies and those guys doesn't really speak to particularly often, and of course Crashies is now on Fnatic and having maybe a good time as a result. So, you know, FNS's one true love is no doubt Som, and obviously the rest of the guys now on his team as well, he has very high praise for.
Verno was always your top pick. Blaze him, yeah, he's definitely our like #1 pick to get. Thank you for being my top 5 streamer. Thank you for watching me. Appreciate you. The vibes on the team seem fun. Yeah, we have a good, very good, especially in game, we have very good chemistry. Is there going to be a new NRG bundle? There has to be, right? I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this shit. Or I hate being under contract. How's America's region VCT teams doing as a whole? I think we've made some very good changes, like overall. Out to chat. About what? Is Verno going to IGL when... I think there's a higher chance that I roll wing, bro. Is Verno the best player on NRG? I don't know. New guy every day. Probably one of the most talented players I've ever played with, though. It's fucking insane. Are you guys gonna pick up a sub/6-man baby? Don't like you couldn't retire tomorrow. Who? Me? No, I don't. I need that money. A guy like me needs that money. You know what Jimmy told me today, chat? Jimmy told me that I am a snake and that I changed. I changed. Jimmy, in the last year, has only come to me when he needs something. Crashies joined Fnatic and didn't tell me. Victor, I have not even heard from. I don't know where Vic is. All my bros turned into snakes. All of them. And they call me different. Nah. Ye didn't change. Ye didn't change. But the rest of them, they treat me different now. Do you see how happy Crashies is at Fnatic? Dude, I literally said that in Jimmy's chat. You guys see Crashy's Twitter posts or Fnatic's Twitter posts? Van has not smiled like that in years. Also, did he not think we saw him tippy-toeing in that picture? Oh, we saw. Do you have any old teammates you still talk to frequently? I'm gonna be completely honest and say the answer to that is no. There's not one teammate that I constantly talk to, or a ex-teammate. But I'll also say that mainly that's because I am a very like small group kind of guy.
So is FNS right that Crashies is love and life since his time on Fnatic? Of course, he may only be on Fnatic for a short time, but certainly his arrival onto Fnatic implies that he will be at least a medium-term option for the team. We know that, of course, with Leo not returning or not yet returning or kind of unclear what's happening there, and of course Sayonara not being old enough to actually play in the official VCT as of yet, Crashies is the man to do the job for the team, and they wanted some time to prepare with him because there is seemingly from Fnatic no time, or no guarantee at least, that Leo will be returning in the timeline they would want to see. So still concerning on that side, but yeah, thought FNS's perspectives were definitely interesting on the state of that team, on the state of NRG as well, and how good the rest of the roster is, how highly he rates Verno, but also just how some of the other guys that were formerly on NRG are maybe feeling about the fact that FNS is still over there, killing it, making bread-winning tournaments, and it's not quite the same story for many of these other players. But very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.